Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Ride On Motorcycle Podcast, sponsored by Break Free. I'm your host, Jogo, and today we have an awesome guest coming on. He's a fellow content creator, has a fantastic YouTube channel. He's always wrenching on his bikes and upgrading something. And wow, and I forgot the last part that I was going to say. Gotta love live streams here. But he has an awesome YouTube channel. He's a hilarious guy, and we're going to bring him on here in a second. TJ from Professional Monkey. But before we do that, a couple quick announcements. If you haven't joined my Facebook group, make sure you hop on Facebook, type in Jogo Motorcycle Adventures and join. Love to have you in there. And at the beginning of the stream, I told you this, it's sponsored by Break Free. If you don't know who or what they are, basically they're a company that makes a taillight for the back of your helmet. You slap it on there, no wires, no Bluetooth, it just works. And I'll give you a little more info on that here in a bit. And lastly, I just want to recognize the members that joined the Let's Go crew. My YouTube membership means the world to me. We got Lee Sturgis, Charles Riding Adventures, Keith Blackston, Gerald Murray, Motoring with Mouseball, and our newest member, John Scott. So I appreciate you guys. If you're interested in it, all the money goes back into the channel. I'm not getting rich off of this. So, all right. So now with all that out of the way, if you've been watching the podcast for a little while, you know we got to bring in Professional Monkey the right way. So let's roll the intro. Is going on, man?
Dude, you do a much better job of my channel than I do. I like
Amen.
that intro a lot. I'm stealing that.
Hey, I'll send it over to you. You can have it if you want.
I'll use it as an intro. I don't know how to do this video stuff. I was actually yelling at the wife while I was in the waiting room, going like, "Check out Joe's setup, man. This looks cool." Like,
Appreciate that. Well, I got a lot of good stuff coming for you. So,
right on,
right.
man.
So before we hop into this, let's see who's out here in the chat, which I appreciate Professional Monkey bringing. He just had a premiere on his channel, bringing all you guys in here. Never had this many people waiting for me. Let's see, real quick, we got Mark Dunham, we got Seltfire, Anti-High-Vis, Nate, Paula Peterson, Lee Sturgis. He's always like an hour early here. We got Mrs. Monkey in the house. Oh, she's saying, "Hey there, honey buns," to another man there. Well,
Yeah,
I'm
sure it's
guessing a
not
man.
me. I'm sure it's probably Fat Glide she's talking to.
Yeah. We got Jimmy the Bull. We got who else here? V Rodder and a bunch of other people. I appreciate you all being here. If I keep on going down the list, we'll be here all night. All right,
Our
TJ.
normal
So
crew of miscreants.
that's awesome. Well, welcome all. So, all right. So this is kind of silly question, but why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and your YouTube channel for the people that don't know about you?
Sure. So I have been motorcycle obsessed since I was a young kid. It's my father's fault. You may have seen Old Man Monkey on the channel. He makes appearances from time to time. He'll actually be with me all day tomorrow in a video, but I literally grew up on the back of his bike. He worked in the car business in the 70s and 80s and 90s, and he worked 6 days a week. He had one day off a week, and that one day was on his bike. And I was always on the back. And so I grew up on the back of Dad's bike. I went to Sturgis for the first time, and get this, 1989,
Wow.
as a young buck with all of his buddies, and saw things that a child should never see. I mean, I was a teenager, but still. And I was absolutely addicted to the culture at that point. I always loved bikes, but Sturgis in the late 80s as a teenager, and you're just like, this is me for the rest of my life. I'm going to do this now forever. And it stuck. And now whenever I'm just 3 a.m. wrenching on something, and my old man calls me and says, "What the hell are you doing?" And I go, "I'm doing this, that, and the other." He goes, "What is wrong with you?" I always say, like, you did this to me. Like, this is your fault. So, since I was a young kid, I've been obsessed with motorcycles. And then he bought his first Harley when I was, well, pre 89. So I would have been probably, I don't know, I was probably 10 years old, several years before that he got his first Harley. And then how it actually started was he would go to the local small shop. Now, Harley shops in the 80s were often cinder block buildings. And you would go in and you'd order your parts. And then weeks later, if not months, you get a call that the part's in. So we would go to the dealership. The dealership was big enough for 3 bikes to sit on the showroom. And then there'd be a pile of, literally a pile of parts off a truck. And Ralph, the old man behind the counter, would go, "Yeah, that whatever you ordered is in the pile." And Dad would just send me into the pile. And I'm like, just going like this, trying to find the thing we ordered. And then when we got home, Dad would go, "All right, boy, you put it on." And so I spent, lots of time wrenching on his bike. And it stuck, man. Like, I'm obsessed with turning screws and playing with bikes. And I'm not a professional. I do not have knowledge. My buddies who are actually qualified mechanics just sit there in the garage watching me with this look of horror, because I'm like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but I'm going to do it. And I love it. It's been my whole life. So
Yeah. So you're not a professional, even though professional's in your name.
right. Well, that was kind of the joke, right? Is like, I'm the most professional out there, because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I just figure it out. Like, and it's a blast. Like, I have friends that are the real deal. And my buddy Jason that I talked about in the video, I did a stage 2 on my own Road Glide ST recently.
Mhm.
And Jason builds pan heads and shovel heads and all this stuff. And him just sitting there on the stool watching me going, "Oh, good God." And I'm like, "What? It's fine. This is all fine." And I'm like in the cam chest of this 2023 Road Glide ST worth $30,000 plus dollars. And I'm like, "It's fine. It's all okay." And he's just going, "It might not be okay." To watch him, it's a blast. So I love it. I love having a good time working on bikes and potentially making mistakes.
Hey, that happens to me more often than not. So, so what's your YouTube channel about?
So the Professional Monkeys channel actually came from the pandemic, which I think there's a lot of really good channels out there that came from the same period. So we're all trapped at home for a couple years. And my wife one day, God love her, was like, "You've been going to Sturgis since you were a kid, and that's unique," she said. And it turns out it kind of is. And she was like, "Why don't you go do a video on like what you've learned going to the Sturgis rally from very far away for so many years?" And I was like, "All right, whatever." It was literally just a occupy your time kind of thing. And I went out and I did a video on I did one video. It was 4 hours long. And
Oh
she was like, "All
man.
right, now wait a minute. Wait. Maybe we should, like, you should do it over again and just do like segments." So I went out and I redid it, and I did like where to stay, where to eat, where to get a drink, best parties and best rides. And the first year I did that was 2020, I think. Or no, yeah, it was 2020. And I did this series of videos for me. I didn't care if anyone watched it. I just did it for me, just to
Mhm.
have something to do, and it was fun and I learned something new, and people really enjoyed it. And we tapped into something where it seems like there are a ton of people who want to experience Sturgis, but it's super intimidating because it's expensive as hell. It's far away. They feel like they could make a mistake and end up staying in some hole experience, excuse my language, for
It's
a
all
whole
good.
lot of money. And so when I did those videos, a whole lot of people were like, "Okay, so go to the Buffalo Chip, eat here, drink, this is the ride not to miss." And I still to this day get comments about videos I did 3 years ago. Like every day there's something about like, is it still the Buffalo Chip? Should I still do that? Should I go here? And I love it. It's so much fun helping people figure out their way to Sturgis.
Yep. So you started off with talking about everything Sturgis, and now you're basically just having people follow along your journey of wrenching on bikes, maybe getting the part on, maybe not, maybe having to call somebody for help. And your
Yeah.
channel's awesome, man, and you're hilarious. Everything that you say in your videos. So, and you keep it real. There's no screwing around. Well, there is screwing around, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I have from the beginning said I wasn't doing this to pursue this as my job, right? Like I have a job. My wife has a
Right.
job. My favorite channels, they work for a living. Like this is just something they do for fun. And when that's the case, you have the ability to go like, I don't care if a video is successful or not.
Right.
Some videos are crazy successful, some are not, and you just do you. And as long as it's really you, it's more fun to watch. So um that's to me liberating, right? Like I work for a living. Like I've been really blessed with a great career, and I'm not walking away from that. And as a side effect of that is I can go out in the garage and do something really stupid on the bike and record the whole thing, and then go like, well, that really went to hell, but hey, welcome. Thanks for coming along. Like one of my favorite video to this day still is I was doing something stupid like changing the reflectors on my Ultra a couple of years ago, and live, like I had a GoPro and I was going, this doesn't fit, it's wrong, it doesn't go in. And it was because I had it upside down and I flipped it, and it all of a sudden just popped right in there, and live real time you got me going like, god damn it, like I just laughing hysterically like I'm just an idiot, like. And that was funny to me, and I just like, oh, screw it, go with it, and uploaded it, and people enjoyed the fact that everyone does that. If you tell me
Yep.
you go in the garage and you work on your bike and there's never a mistake and everything's perfect the first time and there's never an issue, I kind of feel like you're full of shit, like,
Yep.
like
Yep.
that's just not how it goes. Like, so just be
That,
honest.
yep. That's one of the reason why I hate when companies will send me a product and they want me to install. It's like, man, this should take 20 minutes, but if I have to record a video, it's going to take me 3 hours,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's awful. So I'm trying to get away from that because I'm not the best mechanic. So
I, I am I am really far from the best mechanic. I've always said I'm really lucky. So
mm,
this I did my own stage two on this ST. I keep saying that over and over again because to me I'm blown away by the fact that I actually did my own cam job on the ST. And I my buddy Jason came over, so I'm like, it won't start. I don't know what it is. It won't start. It's not making noises. It won't fire. And Jason's a master mechanic. Actually works on bulldozers for a living, and he comes over and that poor bastard, God love him. He worked on that bike with me for hours, and all of a sudden he goes, he looks takes the spark plugs out, and looks down the cylinder while I'm turning the motor over with the wheel, and he goes, how could the pistons be down right now if the push rods are up? Like, what? That doesn't make, I don't understand. And all of a sudden he stops and goes, you lined up the timing marks on the motor first before you put it back together, right? And I just went, you know what? No, I didn't. He was like, God damn it, I'm getting the truck and going home. Tell me when you fix this right, and I'll come back over. And he literally got in his truck and left. And the next day I pulled the whole thing apart again. And yeah, timing was like exact opposite. Like it was totally all the way around. I don't know what it was. I was working my real job at the same time, going back and forth, and somehow I just missed that step, and thankfully the timing was so far off in the motor it didn't fire. Because if you know anything about engines, if it's just enough off, it will fire, and it'll destroy the engine. It'll
mm,
actually eat itself. But it was so far off, the engine was like, I can't even ignite like this. Like the pistons are down when so it was thankfully that far off. But once they fixed it and put it back together, she fired up, she ran great, and I feel like a real man now. I feel like a real mechanic because I've done
yeah,
my own stage too. But
I'd be bragging about that too because I watched that entire video and it was just so interesting just to see how everything was done, and it was like an hour long video. I'm like,
you
I ain't got
can't you
nothing to
can't
do.
do a stage two video in less than there's so much to it. Like
Right.
it's not for the faint of heart. Like it's
Mm.
getting in there. Like I had buddies back home in St. Louis where I'm from calling me saying, texting me going, "Oh shit, he's in the cam chest." Like literally that's all the text message said, like, "Oh no, he's in the motor now." Like this could go real bad, but
Yeah.
it went well.
All right. So we're pretty much gonna skip question number 2 because you pretty much already answered this. How long you've been riding? And well, how long have you been riding? I know you said you're raised on the back of the motorcycle, but how long have you been actually riding?
Approaching 30 years.
Ooh, man. All right.
Yeah,
Oh,
and my dad started me young. I mean, like I had an ATC when I was 10 years old, like a three-wheeler because he wanted to kill me. Obviously, my father's been trying to kill me since that long. So I had an ATC, and then I had, um, pocket bikes and scooter kind of things with little Briggs and Stratton motors, and then a dead period because education is everything to my parents. I'm Gen X, and our parents just beat the hell out of us to go to school. So
yep.
during my college years, there was no motorcycle stuff. It was just work, work, work. And then right out of college, I bought a 1974 CB750 and rode it, and then sold it, and then bought a Shadow 500, and then went through just a string of Japanese cruisers, and then bought my first Harley. Actually, my first Harley that I owned, I bought brand new, which is weird. I had a
Oh,
bunch of Yamahas and stuff. And then in 2004, so it's now 20 years that I bought my first new Harley 20 years ago, and I haven't owned anything since. I haven't owned anything but a Harley since 2004.
wow. Yeah, you've definitely so since I've been watching your channel, you've had a ton of different bikes. I'm sure you've had way more before the channel. So
Oh, I had a
hard
string of inexpensive Japanese bikes before I ever bought a Harley. Like
to
all kind. I had some garbage bikes. I had some awesome bikes. I had some bikes I would love to have back. I had a 2000. The first year of the Yamaha Roadstar Warrior. That was the first new motorcycle I ever owned, and I think that was '02. Somebody will comment, I'm sure, because the one thing about our channel, like bike experts who are just all in, watch the channel. So someone's going to say like, no, no, no. 2001 and a half was the first year of the whatever. And so I had a first year Yamaha Roadstar Warrior, and that was my first brand new motorcycle. I would, God, I'd give a lot to have another one. That was an amazing bike. Like I loved that bike. I abused the hell out of it. I almost died many times on it. I'd love to have another one. And then I had
Yeah.
sport bikes. I had an R1. You have to have a super bike.
Oh man, I don't know about all that.
Uh, at some point you have to own one so it can teach you how quickly you can die.
Yeah.
Because that bike, I had a 2004 R1, and I can remember pulling out of the subdivision on the highway and just hammering it and being amazed at how that bike smoothly and calmly the front wheel would just come off the ground.
Mm.
And then you'd shift in a second, and then it'll come down, and then you hammer it on, and it would just slowly come off the ground. And then third, and it was like that motorcycle just defied physics and everything you've ever known about motorcycling. Like it's just an amazing piece of machinery.
Yeah, I'd be afraid to own one of those because I just got the new Road Glide CVO and that's pushing almost a little too much power for me, but I'm learning how to deal with it. It's tough problem to have, let me tell you.
Yeah.
But so this will lead me here into my next question, and I actually have a video cut together for this. So I'm going to ask you what's your favorite part about customizing a motorcycle, and I put a short video together of some of the motorcycles that you got in your garage. So let's take a look at that. I'm not even sure because I know you've swapped just hard parts before. And Andy Rides, appreciate that super chat. Thank you. I just popped up on the screen. Appreciate
Right
that.
on, man.
But I was having trouble distinguishing if one bike was the same bike just with different hard parts on it. Because I know you work with Advan Black a lot, and they send you like full kits, and I'm like, I don't know, I'm just throwing it in there. It looks different.
Uh, so Advent Black's funny because I'm like an unofficial employee there. I don't work for Advent Black. I mean, people say like, well, yeah, you're sponsored. They send you parts. I'm like, yeah, but I can't pay my mortgage with parts. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not an employee, you know, et cetera, et cetera. But they do send me whatever the newest thing is.
Mm.
Um, and over time, since the channel started to grow, their CEO in California and I have become legit pals. Just like talking shit, sending each other insulting messages all day, that kind of buddy. And so he'll send me whatever the newest thing is, and I'll call him and tell him, you got to change this or this. I don't like this, but I love this. And then they'll change it, and it's been a freaking blast because I get to work on my bikes. They send me new stuff, and I change it out, and to me that's fun. But my favorite, you know, the favorite part for me of working on bikes to me is sort of like, I can't describe it other than sort of untying your knots, right? Because life is tough, man. I'm a husband, I'm a father, and I have a super stressful full time job. And so going out and wrenching on my motorcycles and changing this part and slightly improving this or changing that unties my knots. You know, that's what I always said. Like, it's super therapeutic to go out and you know, struggle through a modification on a bike. And so yeah, I mean, that silver and gray heritage that you had in the video, which was freaking awesome by the way, is that flamed red Cholo bike. And
Oh,
that
geez.
gray bike was my dad's. So we bought that brand new for my father, and then only about 18 months to 2 years later, he started having health issues that prevented him from being able to ride two wheels anymore.
Okay.
So then he bought a trike, and that heritage sat in my garage. I mean, just buried under stuff, that heritage forever. And then one day I just called him and said, hey, I'm going to buy that bike from you, and I'm going to Cholo it. And so we made a Vikla out of it. And that red flamed, I think, beautiful motorcycle was my dad's gray heritage that sat there forever. Uh, the green bike that you saw in the video, the crazy paint,
Yeah.
that green body is now on one of my friend's motorcycles in not far from me. And that bike is now orange. That's the wife's bike, is that crazy orange bike. You know, in the
Oh
video, but
man.
look at other.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, changing bodies and modifying a motorcycle to me is just therapeutic as hell. And you get to make something amazing out of something that's kind of mediocre, you know.
Right.
Well, not yours is not mediocre. Did you get the gray or the whiskey neat?
I went with the gray because the whiskey neat, that's all on back order, and you have to spend like an extra 4 or 5 grand on
They
it.
get all the
So,
money for that. It doesn't matter though. You got a Road Glide, right? The new Road Glide.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it's an amazing bike. That's an amazing motorcycle. So I mean, it's. I don't know if I would change anything on that, at least for a while, right? Because that body's, it's just cool. You know, like it's a
Right.
neat
Yeah.
motorcycle.
And it's a CVO. I mean, the only
Yeah.
thing that I've really changed on there, I just did the handlebars and then like windshield, and then I'm looking for an exhaust, which is going to be Tab Performance.
Yeah, Tab's got. Which, by the way, I'm jealous of your T-shirt.
Oh,
I don't have a
thanks.
Tab T-shirt.
It check out the back. You'll be jealous of the back too here.
Oh, that's not cool. Yeah. So you and I are like are Tab obsessed. Like that's my favorite exhaust.
Yeah, they're
Uh,
great, man.
the wife's orange bike is Tab. Um, it actually hurt me when I'm building the ST, the performance bagger that we're doing. Performance baggers are stainless and they're shorty 2-into-1s, and I was begging them like, "Are you gonna make one? Is that?" And they were like, "Yeah, maybe. I don't know." But so
Yeah.
it hurt me to have a non-tab exhaust on that ST. As a matter of fact, my CVO is a 19. It's up on the lift right now with no body on it, and we have a brand new tab exhaust to go on it because that's what I run. That's my favorite pipes. They just sound, they're so just stupid aggressive. The sound of a tab pipe. So
Yeah, and I heard a set on Robert Simmons. I'm sure you know him. He
mhm.
he was testing the scorched chrome for Tab, and I heard just the slip-ons on the new CVO, and it is
The
amazing.
50 cal, yeah, yeah.
Oh man, that's great. So, all right, so I'll pull up a couple comments here from the chat. I don't want you guys to think I'm neglecting you, but I'm showing 155 unread comments, which I've never had. So, you guys you guys talk a lot in there, which is fine. Keep it going. Um, let's
I
see.
see. I'm assuming it's Mrs. Go saying you're lucky to still be alive after bringing the CVO home.
Yes, yes. So I kind of went through a phase. So I had 3 different bikes this year. Um, I I went out and bought a Pan America, the Pan America Special.
Yeah.
Had that for like 2 weeks. Loved the bike. Wasn't my riding style, and didn't tell the wife that I was bringing it home until I was bringing it home. Uh, and then a couple weeks after that, I went and traded the Pan America in for a Road King Billiard Blue, Road King
Okay.
Special. I don't think I mentioned that to her, and then she was mad about that.
And then you came home with a CVO Road Glide.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I at
Yeah.
least told her when they were running the numbers, and she still wasn't happy. But hey, we're still married, so it's
My
all right.
wife, we have the two opposite wives, both fantastic, I'm sure. My wife always says, "Well, honey, you work really hard and whatever you want to do, you should do." And I'm like, "That's not the answer. You can't just say shit like that to me. Like I need boundaries or it's going to get stupid." Like, like
Right, right. Oh man, there's so many comments here. All right, what we're gonna just so you guys know, we're gonna open it up for Q&A at the end. So don't think I'm gonna neglect you guys in there. Appreciate you all being here. So we'll move into question 4 here. And what's your favorite type of motorcycle to customize? So like that, I don't want to say bagger because I think you say proper is dresser, and
Yeah.
like
Yeah, I mean, my dad's buddies. Excuse me, I was refilling my drink. My dad's buddies. I spent so much time around them growing up that I didn't understand why the language changed. I don't get why that happened. Not that it's the end of the world, but to me, it's not a backrest; it's a sissy bar.
right.
It's not an engine guard; it's a crash bar. It's not a bagger; it's a dresser. It's you know what I mean? Like it's that language existed. It was already done. It was already set in stone. So I don't know why we reinvented all that language, but it is what it is. Um, and I would say my favorite bike to modify, if you just want to grab a wrench and do simple changes, is a dresser because they're like Legos.
Right.
Like you can tear one all the way down to the frame. Right now in my garage, I have a 2019 CVO Road Glide that only has an inner fairing on it. It has nothing else on it. It's just a frame and wheels and a motor and forks. Like there's nothing else on there. And they're like Legos. You can build them all the way down, take them all the way back up, and it's just tremendous fun. But a side effect of this channel is my friends. We've made some amazing friends in the last couple of years. We've become really really tight with lots of just amazing freaking people. Bill Stevens, who's an amazing chopper builder. Chris and Heather, who own Cycle Source magazine. Just I've like shared air with Dave Perowitz, just sitting there looking in the eyes of a guy who was one of my dad's idols. I mean, like, it's just been really awesome. So when I
Real
built
quick
my
though,
first,
real quick.
hmm,
I think I saw a video when you were face to face with him, and then you just
on
completely
accident,
blew it. Yeah,
yeah,
you
I blew
completely
it.
blew
I
it.
totally screwed that up. Yeah, it was just like it was ridiculous. Yeah, and I'm so embarrassed. But Chris and Heather have been awesome. They've introduced a lot of people. I mean, I sat there face to face with Paul Yaffe at Sturgis this year. Now, Mrs. Monkey, who won't be on camera because she's been working all day, she's like brings them up like her and Paul Yaffe have been pals for 25 years. And I just froze. Like I was like, I don't know what to say. This is an idol in the motorcycle world. And I just didn't know what to say. But still being friends with those people um, empowered me to say, I'm going to build a chopper. Like I've never done this before, but I'm going to freaking do it. And it was those friends saying like, call me FaceTime me, text me, and we'll figure it out. And so I bought a dilapidated old chopper that hadn't run in 15 years and tore it all the way down the frame. And I used the frame and the motor, but it was a new tank, new fenders, new wheels, new tires, new drivetrain, new paint, new everything, and built a chopper from this. It was a revival, really, from this like old bike that hadn't been ridden in 2 decades. And it was so infectious that I was like, I want to do this again, but I want to do it the way I want to do it. And so now, through those friendships, I'm an invited builder now for Smokeout 2023.
Oh, before
Um,
you dive deep into that, I got something for all that.
Please, yeah.
Okay. You know what? We'll just go ahead and move into that question. It'll be question 6, and then we'll move into question 5. So before you get into that, we're gonna roll a quick little video here.
Screwed. I mean, royally screwed. It's a good kind of no. It's not a good. It's. There's no way to say this right. I'm gonna have a really exciting, fun, terrifying, challenging 2024.
So jumping into question number 6, I should have prefaced this with the question. So tell us a little about the Smokeout Rally, why you're screwed, and what you're going to be doing there next year.
So first off, I'm sorry for screwing this whole thing up. I'm screaming.
No,
I'm screaming
it's fine.
conscience. I just like roll on. But so at Smokeout year before last, Chris and Heather and I, who own Cycle Source magazine, they don't control everything. They're just like they own the magazine, so everything kind of gravitates around them. We become super tight, and as soon as they say, "Hey, we're thinking about doing this," I'm like, "That's amazing! Let's do it! I'm all in, whatever." And so around that time, that first year, I built Brown Sugar, and I brought her to Sturgis, and I brought her to Daytona, and at Daytona, I won working man's class, which is basically the ultimate garage build. The ultimate dude who doesn't know what they're dude or woman who doesn't know what the hell they're doing. The working man's class is that what that is? So I won that with Sugar, and was just shocked. I was shocked. The wife was shocked. My father was like, "You're an idiot. I can't believe they actually liked that thing." That's how it went. And then when they said, "You know what? We want to bring back the Smokeout, which is the most amazing rally. It's in Salisbury, North Carolina. It's in September. So it's go to smokeoutrally.com, but it's like 6 weeks after Sturgis is Smokeout Rally. And it's so storied and respected. So if you are a nut for biker build off, the first ever big biker build off was Indian Larry versus Billy Lane.
Oh.
Right? We're talking, gurus in our obsession, was at Smokeout. That's when it was judged, was at Smokeout. And they said, we want to do a build off again. I was like, oh yeah, let's do this. I'm in, whatever. And then a couple months goes by and they say, yeah, we're going to do it. And you're in the initial 24. And I went, what? Like I really wasn't prepared for that, because when they said we're rolling out the 24, what they're doing is 24 invited builders, and then social media is going to whittle that down to 12. So here's 24 people and the bikes they have built, and then they're going to via online voting whittle that down to 12 builders. And then 12 builders are expected to be at Smokeout in September with a bike. And then those 12 be whittled down to 6. In that 6 of those 6, you'll get a winner. So The night they're announcing the 24, we're watching it online, and they go all the way to 21, I guess it was, and they said, "Oh, there's a typo. Let's skip it. Go to 22." And so we're going on and on, and the wife is sitting next to me. I'm like, "Oh," and I swear to God, I'm like, "Oh, thank God I didn't. I'm still going to build a bike for fun, but I didn't make the 24. We're clear. I because these bikes they're knuckleheads, panheads, like beautiful bikes. And then they get to 24, and they said, okay, now we're done. We fixed the 21 one. Let's go back to 21. And there's a picture of brown sugar that comes up and says
Oh
professional
man.
son of a. I'm like, this is like whoa. And I immediately commented, I would like to withdraw from the program because like I'm like, did you see these other bikes? Like one of the other builders is a friend of mine, Shelton Einerwold. Shelton is he's maybe 30, 31 years old. He's just talented as hell. He works for Clockworks. He goes to work every day next to Brian Clock. Like this guy is crazy talented at a young age. He's got a 120 something inch S&S motor building an FXR. And I'm like, well, there's one of your top six right there. I can't compete with that. And Shelton is texting me going, no, man, we're going to do this. Let's do it together. And I'm like, okay, all right, we'll do it. But I'm going to lose horrifically, but it'll be fun. Like, and that's what we're doing. So actually, tomorrow, I'm going to pick up a 20 something years parked, but a 25-ish year old chopper that hasn't run in that period. The owner passed away. I only know her via her siblings, so I've never met her, but her siblings are so awesome. Um, this is a lady who built a chopper in the late 90s. Like this, how badass do you get?
Yeah.
She passed away. She left her bike sitting there in a garage. And so I have purchased that bike from her siblings, and I'm going to get it tomorrow and bring it home. And we're going to fire it one last time as it sits for her siblings. And it's super emotional because it's going to be awesome, but we're going to get that bike running one more time for her siblings. And then the motor is going to come out of it. And that motor is going to be my motor for my smokeout build. It will be nothing like all these other bikes or even Shelton's bike, but to me, it's going to be everything. That bike's going to be a motor that hadn't run for 20 years and sat in an aircraft, hangar, then transplanted into a rigid chopper with a Springer front end. And we're going to do something we're going to build the bike I've always wanted. And then I could give a shit less if it wins. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, I don't care. It's the bike I want. It's the bike I want to build. And
Right.
everyone's going to be able to watch that and have input and ideas and thoughts. And I know it won't win because you're going to go smoke out and see there's going to be knuckleheads there with handmade, hand controls and all kinds of crazy stuff that I don't know how to do, but I don't give a shit. This is going to be a blast.
Right. So you're basically doing it for fun. You'll
Yeah.
probably learn some stuff. Do you have any plans for what you're going to do with it after you're completely done? Take it to smoke out and stuff.
I honestly, my plan is to build a motorcycle I've always wanted to own. And the timer cover, for example, right now it's purple because her name was Natalie. And what Natalie wanted 20 something years ago is not what I would want today. And so I
Right.
hope that she takes it with respect, but the timer cover on the motor is going to say on loan from Natalie because
Oh.
it's nothing like what she liked. Her bike was purple and
Mhm.
crazy, looked like something off the Ultimate American Chopper, episode. But we're gonna do something awesome with it, and I'm gonna keep it. It's not. Everyone always says like, "We're gonna raffle it or whatever." I'm like, I hope you don't take this the wrong way, but no, man, this is my bike. This is the bike I've always wanted to own. And
Yeah.
if there's an amazing opportunity to make some real change, then maybe we'll do something with it later. But no, man, this is it.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's cool.
the ultimate chopper for me.
Yeah. And didn't you mention she was a pilot, right?
She had an aircraft hangar. Yeah, she was a pilot. And the crazy thing is when the siblings, it was a couple stages removed. They connected me with the siblings and they said, "We don't know what this is. We would just love it if you come look at it and tell us what the hell this is." And I
Mhm.
said, of course. And I drove up, and they gave me the garage code because they're all out of state. And the garage door opens, and I just went, holy shit. Like, I'm like, this purple, to be honest, I hope she doesn't, she's not mad at me, but monstrosity, because it was so wild and so over the top, this bike she had built in the late 90s. And so there was a VIN on the neck, and I took a photograph, and I'm like trying to do a search, and I called the brother, and I go, I don't think this bike has ever been titled. And he goes, I wouldn't be surprised. He's like, my sister was gangster. Like, she would do whatever she wanted, however she wanted. He goes, and I wouldn't be surprised if she paid that shop. It was called Red Racing in Boca, but they're since closed up. But Red Racing in Boca built a bike. He goes, I wouldn't be surprised if she had the bike built from the ground up, never titled it, never plated it, never, just rode it. Didn't, like, found an illegal plate, slapped it on there. Like, that's how she was. That's the kind of person she was. And I'm like, I think that's what we got, because I searched the VIN. It has never had a title, and it's ever. So,
Wow.
yeah.
I think that's somebody that I could get along with, if I was
There's a
around
picture
back then.
supposedly. I want to get the picture and put it in the video, but there's a picture supposedly of Natalie. That was her name. Like, posing in a bikini next to this purple chopper on the beach, like 20 something years ago. And I'm like, dude, I wanted to party with her. Like, she's just wild. Like, had a chopper built, never titled it. I don't care. I'm just going to ride it, like.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, guys. So we're about 42 minutes in. I don't know if it's halfway or not, but I gotta play this little promo for the sponsor of the stream real quick. Break Free. If you guys are interested, I'm gonna show you guys some info on it, and we'll be right back.
When you're riding on two wheels, there's one rule you can't ignore. If they can't see you, they can't avoid you. That's why we have to do everything we can to be more visible while we're out on the road. In this video, I'm gonna unbox and review the Break Free Smart Brake Light. Let's talk features for a second. This light is special because it's completely wireless. You don't need to use any apps or connect it via Bluetooth to use it. So how does it work? It has sensors in it so it knows when you're braking or slowing down. This is great because sometimes we use engine braking to slow down. That means we're not using our brakes, so our taillights aren't going on. This will give the motorists behind you a heads up that you're slowing down. It has a rechargeable battery that's supposed to last 8 to 12 hours depending on which mode you have it in. This light is IP65 waterproof and weighs in at 7 ounces, so it's really light. For the light itself, it has 100 LEDs and it's a single one-button operation, so they keep it simple. We have the light all mounted to the helmet, now we have to test it. Let's roll, baby.
Okay guys, we are on the bike. Let's test this bad boy out. Downshifting should illuminated. All right, now I'm slowing down with the brakes. Making a left. Okay, so now we're coming up to the stop sign. We're gonna do a hard stop. Should have blinked. All right, now we're gonna do some head movements to see if this thing's gonna blink or not. They claim that it won't, so we'll move my head up and down, side to side and stuff. All right, now I'm rolling off the throttle. All right, guys, that was the ride test.
As you just saw, this light works exactly as advertised. So what do I think about it? This is a fantastic product. Not only does it look cool, it adds an extra layer of safety.
Right there you have it. Break Free, one of the few products that I promote on my channel that I absolutely love it. Got a special link down in the description of this video to get you $10 off if you're interested. So even if you don't use my link, go get one because it's fantastic.
That thing's pretty badass. So the missus actually is a commuter rider. She actually rides to work pretty regularly. And that, I think, would be pretty freaking badass just for her. I mean, she rides in heavy traffic. So,
right. Well, I tell you what, they told me to actually ask you if you want to work with them. So I was going to ask you after the stream, but figure out.
Yeah, no. Yeah, that'd be cool for her helmet. Yeah. That'd be cool. That's a cool idea. So I guess they use accelerometers and stuff for all that stuff instead of like, that's a really neat idea. I like it.
Cool. Yeah, it's spot on, man. Like I was thoroughly impressed with it. All right, so now we will move into question number 7. And did I skip a question? I don't know.
Let's
We'll move
start
to
over,
question 7.
just for hell.
Yeah. All right. Roll the intro. You just want to see the intro again.
I've got whiskey here. Let's do it.
Yeah. All right. So, question number 7. I have another video that I'm gonna play for you. So, you were just recently, not too long ago, at the Harley Davidson in Tokyo, and I cut
Mhm.
together a little video of your experience here. So let's go ahead and check that out real quick.
Here we be. So this is Harley Davidson Shinjuku. Ooh, vending machines. Damn it, there's no inappropriate adult products in there. We'll have to keep looking. So you might expect the dealer to be full of like 500, 750s, Sportsters, this, that, and the other, but that is just not the case. I'm looking down the line here. You got your Heritage, you got your Road King CVO, and that is nicely done. Nightster. Now that I'm sure is really popular here. Oh my God, a pan. Look at that. I only buy t-shirts when I'm overseas, and I don't normally really do that because, I don't know, unless I have really cool dealer tees. I would buy one, of course, from here, and I will. They have them to fit my largeness, which is really exciting because I thought, no way in Japan they're going to have, t-shirts big enough for this monstrosity / specimen. They do, so I'm gonna get a shirt. I don't know if these are used or what, but they got amazing inventory here. They really do. We got a nice CVO Ultra. It's hilarious that I had to come to Japan to see a breakout. My dealer, Alligator Alley, they're sold when they get there. So
Here's a brief synopsis of your Tokyo trip to the Harley Davidson. If you guys want to check that out, it's on his channel. So the question is, what surprised you the most about that dealership?
where do you get off doing better with my content than me?
I apologize.
Not an exaggeration. I'm watching that going, oh, this is what a good video looks like. Like, I mean, seriously, like that was fun to watch, and it was me. Like that was wild. So
Well,
it's funny because you edited that into what I would say, and that is, if you go to Tokyo and go to a Harley dealership, I think the average person would have a certain expectation that is, A, you expect them to be large and they're not, they're tiny. And then B, you expect them to have the typical, assortment of new Harleys. No, I mean, they had highly desirable CVO Ultras. They had lowrider S's, which at that time you couldn't find in the US. They had them sitting there. They had out front, there was a Softail Standard, I think an Evo. They had an amazing inventory. Like I loved it. And then as I was sitting there talking to the lady behind the register when I bought my T-shirt, she said, like, who are you? What is this? Because she saw me videoing, and I said, well, I have a channel in the U.S. and that's on YouTube, and I just love Harleys. And I walked around a little more, and in that time, she like had searched on her phone and started yelling to everyone in the dealership, like, check this guy out. So she chased me out front and gave me a flask, a shot glass, a chip, a poker chip from the dealership, a challenge coin. They were so sweet, which is normal for Japan. Actually, if you've ever been, like, they're just wonderful people. They really are. But as soon as not that I'm like figured out who I am, but they looked that up and suddenly chased me out and brought me back in and talked a little more about their inventory. And I love going to Harley dealerships overseas, but that one visit was interesting because, I mean, there was a panhead up front. You aren't going to see that in a U.S. dealership. You aren't going to see an Evo in a U.S. dealership, but in Japan there was a panhead sitting out front. That that's something. That really, really was interesting. And you'll find that in certain countries, they might be more Harley obsessed than the average American biker.
Well,
seriously.
Yeah. I was really surprised to see all that inventory that they had and the different kinds that they had. I mean,
and they're that far apart. I mean, like the bikes are just barely shoved in there, but they do it. That's how they operate.
Right. And I don't even probably because I'm ignorant, but I didn't even think that like they would have a Harley Davidson out there. But
No, man, in certain countries like Japan, parts of China, Indonesia, etc. My work thankfully sends me all over the world. Like I've been to
mhm.
some bizarre places, and you find that in those little pockets, they are Harley obsessed. It's a
Wow.
religion. And to meet an American biker, they're excited and they want to talk to you as an American biker about their Harley obsession. One of the greatest motorcycle rallies on the planet actually is in Tokyo. I can't remember the name of the racetrack, but they actually shut down a racetrack in Tokyo, and the infield is a Harley rally, and they tent camp with like panheads and knuckleheads and
Wow.
shovelheads and vintage Harleys, and it's amazing. The Japanese don't do anything half-ass, right? That's just cultural who they are, and so if they're Harley nuts, they are Harley nuts, you know. So it's really really fun to see those stores, you know.
Yeah, very cool. And I encourage you guys to go watch that entire video because just the walking around Harley was just a brief part of the video. It's hilarious seeing you walking around and
So from now on, I'm going to send my videos to you, and if you could recut them, that'd be great.
I don't know. We'll see. I'm pretty busy here.
Because that was better than my video by far.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, that took me about, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes. But the longest part,
No, that doesn't make me feel better, you jerk. No, not at all. Like,
the worst part is going through all the footage, just trying to see what's going to work. The cutting everything together is the easy part.
go look at Mexico City. I did Mexico City a few years ago, and oh my god, they're like freaking Sportsters with 23-inch bars. Like, it's the Harleystas. It's actually so Harley has words for foreign culture Harley nuts. And for
Oh,
an
wow.
example, a Harlista is a Latin person who's obsessed with Harleys,
Interesting.
and they go all in, man. Mexico City, these crazy ass high bars with beautiful paint, and it's cool, really really cool to see that.
Awesome. All right. We'll move into the next question here. And then I want the audience to chime in on this one. I'll bring up some of the comments. So, what's your biggest pet peeve when you're riding with other motorcyclists? You tell me yours, and then I'll let you know what mine is.
Um, we don't do it anymore.
All right.
So the missus, I joined a certain organization who is glorious and wonderful, and I think the world of them, and you know none of that. But almost 20 years ago, serving children that have been the victims of abuse, and when you ride in a pack of 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 bikes, you will immediately spot the longtime rider. Actually, I take that back because there's some longtime riders out there that can't ride to save their ass either. Um, I'm not a big fan of group rides in general. That idea of holding your line, holding your track, understanding your role, and staying in position. Uh, as much as that's not fun, it's important when it's a big group. You've got to hold your position. You can't wander tracks. You can't all that sort of stuff. So group riding sucks. It just does. You know, unless there's about maybe 10 men and women out there that I know that I would go, I'll roll all day long with them because I know they just hold their line just right. The missus, of course, being one of them, multiple brothers and sisters from that organization that I'd ride to Canada and back, and I would
Mhm.
know that they would just hold that perfect laser straight line. But if you're going to go on a charity ride or something, and there's 250 motorcycles, I can guarantee you 240 of them don't know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah,
You know,
that's a good point. I would say my biggest pet peeve is if you're in a group ride, and I don't do very many of those either, is when somebody that you completely don't know who they are, and you got these people that like to ride up right next to you, side
yeah,
by side. And it's
yeah.
like, dude, don't do that. I don't know how you ride. I don't know if you're gonna come into my lane. What if I got to
It's
swerve?
personal. It's super personal.
Yeah.
We were at
100%.
Sturgis year before last. It didn't happen last year, but we were rolling in the left lane, kind of stuck behind a car, but we were still going probably 80. And it was me, and oddly enough, the missus was in my left track, so she's directly behind me. And all of a sudden, hope my language doesn't screw up your channel. This
That's fine.
asshole just rolls up the right track, just right next to me, and I'm like, "Hey, I don't know you." That's literally was my reaction. Like, you don't double up with someone you don't know.
Nope.
That's very personal. Like, that's something for my very, very close friends, for my wife, for those pals. And all of a sudden, this guy, who when I looked over, I went, "Oh, you've put a good hard 1,000 miles on your motorcycle in your entire life," is suddenly sharing a lane with me. And I'm like, no. And I slowed down and I communicated with him, because that was not okay. You don't share a lane with somebody you don't know. It's just
Yeah.
protocol. Not cool.
That's the worst.
Mhm.
It's Andy Ride says unskilled riders, group rides. Yes, for sure.
I feel like all group rides are 90% unskilled riders. I don't know what it is, but
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Uh,
XAN nailed it. Just
yeah.
riding with other motorcyclists.
Let's see, Mr. and Mrs. Thumper, the guy leading monitoring for your exit, and yet you still almost miss it.
Now, I can share a wonderful story about Thumper saving me and my buddy Tom's life,
Go
who
for
may
it.
or may not be here. Because at the Leesburg rally recently, Tom rode down, I rode up. Thumper was kind of there, and we kind of hit it hard. And Thumper doesn't drink. And at the end of the night, to be honest, we probably should have just like laid down and gone to sleep wherever we were. But Thumper's like, no, I'll lead you to your hotel. God love him. So about a mile ahead, he's on his Road King in front of his tall ass apes, going like, "That way, assholes," like that way. And Thumper and I are like, "Woo!" No, not Thumper. Tom and I are like, "Yeah, woo!" And he's like, "No, that way," And so Tom takes the correct turn. I wait too long. I end up rolling in the out of the in.
Yeah.
So gotta love those guys that are like trying to lead their drunk friends around. Like.
That's hilarious. Okay. Now we'll move into
Oh,
question
Tom's
9.
here.
What's that?
Twin Can Tom's my buddy that was with me, that was a
Oh,
better
okay.
rider than I am.
Gotcha. All right. We'll move into question 9, and then we got a special bonus question, which I can't wait to ask. So, question 9, I asked this for everybody that comes on because everyone's different. What was the worst experience you've ever had on a motorcycle?
Probably my really, really bad crash in 2007. Um, I had worked super, super late that night in St. Louis. It was April. It was pre-riding season, but I didn't care because as soon as I could leather up enough to ride, I would ride. And I was at work until, I don't know, 1, 2 in the morning. I was riding home, and I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, which is a very old city. And a side effect of an old city is the roads can be shitty. The manhole covers are brass, which is not, new city stuff. And I was turning right, and at like 2 in the morning, in the apex of a turn, I had a V rod at the time, the front tire just let go, and I slammed down on the right side and broke pretty much everything on the right side of my body. The bike just went spinning away, and there's a police officer behind me, and he saw it happen. And thankfully, he saw it happen, and thankfully, he's also a rider. So when
Wow.
he saw it happen, he stopped and went, "What the just happened, man?" Like, that was bizarre. And I was like, "I don't know." And so I go over to pick my bike up, and he goes, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa. Why don't you go sit on the hood of my car?" And I go, "Why?" And he goes, "Because that arm is down here and your other arm is like up here, and things are off." And I'm like, okay, because I start to grab the bike, and this shoulder just went and like made all
Oh
kinds of
man.
noises that are not normal. So I went and I sat against the front of his cop car, and this officer goes and starts picking parts of my bike up, picking the bike up, etc. And it was a bad night. I had shattered my right shoulder. I'd cracked some ribs. I'd cracked my knee. I cracked my right ankle, and my bike was in pieces. And he just was like, "You just chill out, man. I'm going to call you an ambulance." And this cop was really cool about it because he was a rider, so he tried to protect my bike the best he could. And it ended up being a couple of months of therapy and stuff because I had shattered the ball of my shoulder was broken off and all this other stuff. And then as soon as that was healed up enough to where I could ride, my bike was still months from being fixed because in
Mhm.
2007 you couldn't fix a Harley that fast. Like that was the demand was so high. So my buddy Mike lent me his Valkyrie. So I
Nice.
was better before my bike was. So Mike goes, my Valkyrie's sitting there, just take it. So all of a sudden, I'm on a 180 horsepower flat six Honda as like my everyday rider, and I almost died again because
Oh my
it
gosh.
was just a Porsche with two wheels. So it was fun, but it was dangerous also. So and
Yeah.
to this day, that shoulder is not happy. Like it's angry all the time.
Yeah, and you really lucked out with that cop behind you being a rider, and
Mhm.
then like to some people, if that happens to them, they throw in the towel. They're like, I'm done." But obviously, that didn't stop you from riding.
No, my good friends were really hard on me actually. Like the next day, because they'd seen it before. When they found out I had gone down, I was hurt. My bike was screwed up. I had buddies showing up at my house, going, "All right, what's the plan to get you back in the saddle? Because if you give it any time at all, you'll fall out of the fold. You'll stop riding. You won't be a biker anymore." And so your good friends who are like in their blood bikers will be there that day, going, "No, no, no, no. What's the plan?" And that's why Mike brought me his Valkyrie. I think Six his nickname Sixpack. He brought that bike. I think 2 or 3 days after my accident, and just put it in my garage.
Well,
Like, you're riding this. I like that's what's going to happen because while they fix that, you're going to ride that. And he's my daughter's grandfather or godfather. Like he was like, You're not going to stop riding, so let's figure this out right now." So,
that's an amazing friend. I mean, I
he's the best.
would hope for a friend to do that for me, but all my friends got rid of their bikes, so here we are.
So when we got married, a funny story about Sixpack, the same guy. We moved from Missouri to Florida. I put my crossbones in his garage, and Sixpack's like, "Oh, I'll sit on it until you're ready, whatever you want me to bring it down." And I said, "Why don't you bring it down for the wedding? That'll be fun." And so Sixpack just loads my crossbones up and just leaves St. Louis and rides flat down from St. Louis to South Florida, which is like 1,400 miles,
Yeah.
straight through, doesn't stop. No hotel, nothing. We're talking, 1,300 miles from St. Louis straight through. And he would stop and not even put the kickstand down. He would just grab the gas,
Oh my
and
gosh.
just fill the bike. And then he's texting me at stops going, "There's something wrong with this bike. There's gasoline coming out of the top of it and soaking my crotch while I ride." And I'm like, "Did you not even put the kickstand down?" Like, that's how hardcore Sixpack is, that he would fill the bike while standing up. And you can't do that. It overfills the tank.
Yeah.
So then a couple miles down the road, he's like, "My crotch would get really cold." And I looked down, it was gasoline coming out of the tank.
Just get a lighter. It'll heat
He's
up
like,
real
"Don't,"
quick.
and he would smoke cigars while riding. I
Uh,
was like, "Don't smoke a cigar while riding."
that's hilarious. Jeez. Yeah, I actually rode my bike, my Street Glide, when I had it, up to the altar.
Right on.
It was pretty cool. Finally got that. I gotta post that video because it was kind of
Yeah,
cool.
I want to see that.
All right, so let's move into the bonus question. I'm so excited for this. So for
Terrified.
for those of you that watch my channel, I have a buddy named Chuck. He participates in the on the channel here and there, and he recorded this question for Professional Monkey that he's been dying to know. So I'm gonna go ahead and play his question, and we'll come back and get the answer.
Hey, Professional Monkey, Chuck here. Big fan, by the way. I have a question for you. Just recently, down in Daytona, you had a special moment with your dad. If you don't remember, here's the clip.
One thing I would close out today's video with, it was just a moving moment, a Daytona special moment with me and Dad. We were riding to the Speedway before we'd even got to Adams, and there's a young man walking on the sidewalk, and he dropped his drawers and took a dump on the side of the road, and I just felt that was a very special Daytona, Florida moment. Was the guy shitting on the sidewalk. I'll leave you with that.
I was wondering, how did that special moment make you feel? I wish I could have had a moment like that with my dad, but when I was 5 years old, he went up to the grocery store for milk and he never came back. Well, keep up the great work. We'll talk to you soon.
There you have it. Thanks, Chuck. Appreciate that. So he wants to know, how did you feel after that magical father-son moment in Daytona?
Oh my God. So my dad and I still to this day laugh about that moment. And in St. Louis, since then, we've been at home with so my uncle rides, my cousins ride. When I say like this is a biker family, I mean like it's a biker family. Like I have aunts that ride, cousins that ride, and we'll be at a family gathering, and Dad will just suddenly go, "Hey son, why don't you tell them all about that guy who took a shit on the sidewalk while we were doing?" And we're like, and
man.
so we're that moment. How it was is that we had ridden all day. We were worn out, and we were at this light, and it's my buddy Jason on his like vintage shovel head, and then me on my bike, and Dad on his trike, and Dad's sitting there next to me, and all of a sudden this young dude is walking along the sidewalk, and then all of a sudden he kind of like looks all these directions and runs over in the high grass, squats, it does a number 2 in front of everyone sitting at this red light. Like it just like something out of a Monty Python skit. Like it was dramatic. I'll just say that. And then gets up and like trots down the sidewalk away. And I'm laughing, my dad's laughing, but no one communicates as to what we saw. The next light, Jason turns off to go to where he's going, and Dad just turns to me and goes, "You saw that boy take a shit back there, right?" Like it's like, and I just start rolling laughing, and yeah, so
man.
that stuck, man. Like to this day, we'll be back in St. Louis in a bar, and my dad will say, "I got a story for you, son. Tell him about the guy in Daytona." And I'm like, a young guy just squatted and took a number 2, like next to a full intersection full of motorcycles and cars.
Wow.
Like I just Daytona needs to get over itself
Yeah.
in a lot of ways, because the law enforcement there, and I'm very like, hey, all about the man, because you know they're the best riders and everything else, but Daytona's got an issue with their law enforcement harassing the crap out of those of us who build bikes from nothing. And I'm riding down a residential road and I see a guy take a number 2 on the sidewalk, and I'm like, well, I think maybe you should chill out about your headiness of what Daytona's like, but what do I know?
Yeah, and can we just mention how big of how this guy had some balls in order to do that?
Oh,
In the
like
middle of the day.
he was right there. It was not like he went off to find a spot. He was right there. Like,
oh man,
yeah, it was bad.
that's fantastic. I couldn't wait to ask that because I was going through your content, and I think I watched the entire video, and I'm like, I have to put that on the stream. So I made a note. I'm like, it's in this video. Make sure you go back and pull it.
Toby nailed it there. It's very Monty Python. Like that kind of crap just doesn't happen,
No.
but
Not at all. All right, guys, we're going to open this up to the chat. So make sure you go ahead and start dropping your questions below for Professional Monkey. And
give me 60 seconds so I can hit the facilities, right? I'll be right
yeah,
back. Okay?
go for it. Yep. You got it. All right, guys, while he is using the restroom, I will start looking at your comments here. Oh, Jimmy the Bull, my man. Appreciate you for the super chat. You know what? I forgot to give Andy his super chat sound effect. So I'm gonna do 2 super chat sound effects.
Super chats.
And then we'll do one more.
Super chats.
There we go. All right. So you guys have your questions coming out. All right. Hey, look at that. Jimmy the Bull, you got a super chat banner above me too. I've never seen that before. Interesting. All right. Ray's Moto Life. What did the left cheek say to the right cheek? If we work together, we can hold this. Very good. Very good. All right. So, Ken, I see your questions. Yours will be the first one once he comes back. Mr. Thumper, he's a quick peer. Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me bring you in here.
I was gonna drown. I'm sorry. I was gonna drown. I'm sorry.
Mrs. Monkey wanted to know where she can get a wig like that for the monkey.
She
Spirit
could
of
be sitting
Halloween.
right here in a chair, but she's not doing that.
Yeah, well,
She's being a jerk,
all right. Well, the answer to that question is Spirit of Halloween. You can find one.
Oh no, we're doing this. She wants to start shit. We'll do it. Wait.
Oh, that's nice.
There you go.
Doesn't match your facial hair, but we'll work
It's
with
okay.
it.
I'm like the librarian we all had in high school.
Oh man.
You gotta love the fact that like we had this in like right there. I could grab a wig. Like
yeah. Mine's right over there, but I'm not gonna slap that on. Chuck gets
so.
mad
Joe,
when I
you
touch his
can
hair.
the fact that we're bald. How hot are like wigs? Have you put one on recently where you're like, oh my god, the heat? Like, how do people do this? Like, how do
I
they have
think
hair? Because no, that's better. Oh my god.
yeah. Yeah. So I started balding when I was like, I don't know, 19 or 20. My hairline just started
Yeah.
getting higher and higher, and then it turned into like, it looked like I had a hot dog on my head.
So I had
I'm
the
like,
duck's ass. Did you have that? I had this like tuft of hair.
no.
And then it was bad.
Oh, yeah. That's what you're
Yeah.
talking about. I call it a hot dog. I think it looks more like a hot
I
dog.
looked like Jason Voorhees from an 80s movie. Like I was like, there was tufts here and not there, but that, like.
Oh my gosh. All right. So Ken Grant wants to know, I already know the answer to this. Oh my gosh, look at that. Jason Busey. Hold on, we got to get to this question first. But Ken Grant wants to know what took you to Japan. I think I already know the answer to that, but
My work, which is I'm a contract killer. I kill people for money.
wow, that's exciting. That sounds exciting.
It's a growth industry. I'll help you. I'll get you involved.
All right, yeah, put in a good word for me.
It's actually not that sexy. I thought about doing a video about what to do for a living, but basically, law firms all over the world need to be connected to the law firms because if you're a lawyer in New Mexico, pull that from my ear, and I have a client and they buy a business who has an operation in Germany, there needs to be a connection to figure this all out. I am that connection. So I work between law firms around the world in highly litigious, sort of challenging things. So that's why my work takes me to places I would never ever think of going to myself. I thought about doing like just a video about where I've been in the world because people go like, really? Like, Yeah, like I've been to some wild ass places. So
That'd be interesting.
yeah, my
Well,
wife says I'm an exotic dancer. Yeah, that's what it is.
oh my God. Guys, you guys are too kind here. So I've never seen so many super chats in my life. Greg Picar,
Right on,
499.
Greg.
Appreciate you. Jason Busey. I mean, $50. You're the man.
Jason,
Right.
Jason, you gotta love him because he found the error of his ways. Jason used to own an Indian,
Oh man, I'm sorry.
and he was like, "No, you know what? I made a mistake," and he bought a Road Glide. I'm like, "It's all right, we forgive you." Like, but Jason's a good friend. That's the wild thing about YouTube, in my opinion, because I have close friends, of course, that I've known forever, but like I would say that there's probably 50% of that crew that I've met through the channel.
Yeah.
I mean, like Tom, Twin Cam Tom is in the side chat. That's one of my closest pals. And I met him through this goofy ass YouTube channel.
Right.
Jason, another one. Like, that's a good friend of mine. These are like really good pals. The Thumpers, like, we've camped together. We've been friends, we've stayed in rallies. These are my good friends, and it's from this channel, not from normal life. It's just bizarre.
Yeah. I've met so many people just from doing it. I'm in my, I don't know, second year, coming up on my third or
You need to go
something.
to some rallies that we go to and hang out with us, man. Like,
Yeah, I probably will. One of these. I don't want to go to Daytona again. I've gone there the past two. I actually met you in Daytona. We were walking. You probably don't remember because you've probably seen a million people.
I'm such an asshole.
Well, it's funny because
I'm like, we did?
so. Oh, I have a short. I'm not going to try to pull up on my screen because I'll screw something up.
Oh, don't call me out like that.
But basically, I'm like, hey, you got anything to say to anybody? And you're like, people are assholes and don't be one.
Well, that's kind of how I feel. I'm just saying, like, what actually what I normally say is, and I mean this about of my heart, I always say, like, watch for assholes, they're everywhere.
Oh, that's probably what you said then. It was
I feel
just a
that,
while ago.
like deep in my heart, like I'm like, watch for assholes, they'll like blend in with the rest of us. Like, be careful, they're everywhere. Like, seriously, like,
Yep. My gosh. And then we had a super chat from Lee Sturges, which is, yeah, I don't know why you're sending me money because you're already a member. So you don't have to do that, which I appreciate all the members.
hey, you know what? We had a really interesting chat last night with the Badgers. You were there. You saw
Yep.
some of it,
Yep.
but the idea that people like you and people like me, because we're the same kind of cloth, to figure out that there are those who just want to support you, and it's weird for guys like you and guys like me to process that. Like they just
Mhm.
want to help. They don't want anything. They just want to support, and they want to help. Offset the cost of like all the supplies and parts and all the cameras and da 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 you got to do. And so it's really really tough for guys like you and guys like me to just accept they're just trying to help. They don't want anything for it. They just want to help.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. I could have turned, I know you could have turned yours on forever ago. I could have turned mine on last year. I'm like, well, I don't want to do this until I can provide
Yeah.
something. So, I mean, if you
I
join mine,
know you did too. I struggled with that for the longest time because I was like, I can't afford to do this just on me. Like,
right.
this is not NBC. This is not ABC. This is not whatever. Like, I can't afford to buy supplies and parts and stuff to install and do a video. Like, I just can't do that. And all of a sudden, your audience goes, no, we'll contribute. We'll help pay for that stuff. And the old shovel head I have, we're going to do the seat and the dash and a bunch of other stuff. And that's thousands of dollars in work that you're not going to get back. That's just, and you're just going to pay that money. And it was our viewers that were like, please do this. Just turn it on. Just turn on the thing. And the funny thing is how we had people go like, you son of a bitch, they're all angry. And I'm like, Yeah, but you realize you're commenting this on a free video that I'm responding to. Like, you
Right.
haven't lost anything. You're mad, but we're all still here, you know?
Yeah, you're never gonna make everybody happy. Someone's gonna be like, "Well, I'm
Possible.
missing out on this content, and I want everything for free." You sold out. So,
Yeah.
Keith Blackston, another member that doesn't have to pay me, but he.
Good people. Just good people that want to help. That's all
And
it is.
I'm actually not used to getting super chats. I made a special sound effect for every time I do get a super chat. I'm not using it.
Super chats.
Oh, I love that. Can you send that to me?
Yeah, I made that. All I did was like tune the audio to like a
Really?
lower voice and put an echo on it.
That's talent I don't have, man.
All right, so we did open this up for Q&A. I don't know if any questions came in. Let's see. Oh, here's one. Paula
RC
Peterson.
Winroad. Des, how you doing, sister? Oh, man, there are so many shows we'd like to do. I like to do them all. I would love to do Mama Tried. I would kill to do Mama Tried. I would love to do Born Free. I would love to do all that stuff. But the reality is, just like your average favorite channel, you have a job, and so you can't take off all the time. So in 2024, there's some awesome stuff still. So in 2024, I'm actually going to the Drag Specialties show, which is a trade show. It's for manufacturers. And my buddy Paul at Fairing Exchange in Florida was like, "Hey man, if you want one of my passes, you can have one." I was like, "Yeah." So I booked a plane ticket. I'm going to Louisville, and I'm going to the drag show on me. Right? Like, and he's like, "I'll get you a hotel room." I'm like, "All right, cool," but I'm using my points for airline, all that stuff. But I'm going to drag in January. The wife and I are going to CSSTL, which is the Chopper Showcase St. Louis in St. Louis, my hometown, which is Mecca in the winter for chopper builders, so that I can be sad and depressed for what I'm going to build versus what I'm going to see there. And then March will be Daytona because that's only 4 hours away.
Right.
April will be Leesburg because, we all need to catch an STD. And then May and June are clear. August is Sturgis, which is it's like the month, right? Like I take like 4 days to get there. We're there for 2.5 weeks, 4 days to get home. Like it's pretty much the whole month of August. And then September is Smokeout. October is kind of interesting because we might either do Biketoberfest or Panama City. We've never done Thunder on the Beach in Panama City, and I'd like to do that because our buddy Jasmine Kane, who's a rock star, is in Panama City. We like to hang out with her. And then that's kind of the end of the year, right? Like,
oh, that's it? That's all you got going on?
Yeah, just that, like
not too much.
Yeah. So in the next few months, it'll be CSSTL in St. Louis and the Drag Specialty Show. But the Drag Specialty Show is just vendor people. It's just people who make parts,
Okay. See.
XA nailed it. The working class can't do it all. That is the truth, man. We just can't, like.
Yep. Andy Ride says, Professional Monkey, you should come to Pooler, Georgia and meet us for slow speed practice.
Ooh, I love low speed maneuvering and learning. As a matter of fact, today I took the ST out, turned auto tune on, and I thought about trying to do a video, but I'm not that good at that stuff, honestly. But so I'm auto tuning my ST with a cam in it, and I took it to the parking lot of my subdivision where the pool is, and I just turned on auto tune and I just low speed maneuvered for like an hour. I just, because I had the top end. It's easy to get out on the highway and hit and kick its ass. It's really easy to just top it out, slam through gears, and get those sort of measurements. But it's that low speed stuff that's really hard to sort of get a good tune on. So in our subdivision, I did figure eights for like an hour with auto tune on, just trying to get some measurements. But yeah, that's good stuff. I'm by far, I'm way better than the average schmo, but not an expert. You know, like
Right.
so.
Yeah. I mean, Robert Simmons is right up the street from you, so not too far.
Robert's in Tennessee.
No, he's in Georgia.
Yeah, I'm still in South Florida.
I mean, I go all the way out there from Ohio.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I'm in Palm Beach.
Okay. Fair
It's
enough.
not that fast. like I would love to do videos with Robert. He's I consider him a friend. He's an awesome guy. We talk all the
Yeah.
time. He's an expert, right? Like, so I would like to see a video on that because one of my good friends is actually the manager of the Writing Academy at Alligator Alley Harley in Lauderdale, which is one of the biggest academies in the country. And I hated writing with Coach because he was like, he would just suddenly open his saddlebag and like cones would come out. You're like, no, wait, no. And he would like, hey, go in this circle. I'm like, screw you, I ain't doing it. No, like, you know. But just to watch him, he was a BACA member also, and you would watch him like 1 mile an hour have a conversation. Like Coach would sit there and talk to you on his bike while he rode in circles around you while you walked. I'm like, you know what? Screw you, man. That's not funny. It's you know, like
Yeah. I got addicted to it, man. Like I came across Robert's channel and
oh, it's fun.
sparked my interest, and then I started going out there, and now I'm taking all these other classes and trying to pass out the knowledge that I know from learning from everybody. I mean,
We all need to get better. We all
Yeah.
need to get better. And Robert is the absolute best in the world at this whole keep your damn feet up thing.
Yep.
Like it just drives me insane to watch people drag their feet around. Like, what are you doing? If the bike is moving, your feet are up.
Yep.
It's super simple. Bike's moving, feet are up.
100%.
You know, and he's the best at it. So
let's see, we had another comment here. Greg Picar said, "When will we see the title back on the line?" So I won the slow speed championship belt on Robert's anniversary. Oh wait, hold on. Let me grab it real quick.
oh, I want to see this.
All right, for some of you guys that don't know,
Oh, I love that.
yeah. So I
Where?
had this.
Tell the story. I want to hear this shit.
Okay, hold on. Let me set it down real quick. All right, so basically, me and another YouTuber, Q, Riding and Wrenching, we had like this battle of. He kept on saying like he was gonna beat me in a slow speed race, and he beat me like once or twice, but it was virtual. And the second race was against Chuck, so he'd never really beat me. So we had this whole thing all set up. I ordered that belt off of Amazon, had it custom made.
Right on.
$200 belt. And I have a whole like hype video that we did. So I made a hype video for that. And then we set it up during Robert's anniversary celebration. It's a whole thing. A bunch of people came out. And obviously I have the belt. So I beat him fair and square.
So here's my experience, which is not end all be all. It's just my experience. If you do a low speed race and you start and you just do you, and you're moving ahead of this other person, and the normal guy is like, oh my God, I'm losing. No. This guy is going to screw up.
Yeah.
If you just super crazy slow behave, don't try and stop. Don't try and be the cop who sits still and doesn't
Yeah.
move. Just keep going and don't put your feet down. This guy is going to put his feet down before it's over. Like, so there might be slower, but they lose. That's my experience. Like, because that
Yeah.
was always fun when I was a kid, and that was the matter was going super crazy slow and not going the slowest. But the reality is, the guy who is trying to sit still ends up putting his feet down,
Yep.
and they lose. So just go as slow as you can, but keep your feet up, and the guy on the other side loses. That's my experience.
Yep. I've been getting to the point now where I'm able to make that stop and just kind of sit there for second
Oh,
and a
I
half.
can't do that yet. You're better than me.
It-
So
it-
I can do full lock turns.
that's
I can do
good.
full lock turns while barely moving. I can do that because it's all about practice, man.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter. I don't care if my buddy Joe is better than I am. Like, I don't care. It's just a matter of being able to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yep. Yep.
it's not about being the best. Just be that crazy low speed capable dude where you're riding the friction zone, to
Mhm.
quote Robert, because he's the best at it, and going as slow as you can, but doing full lock turns and stuff. That's what matters. It just, I think that we as bikers need to challenge ourselves to be the best we can be. And if Joe's better than me, that's okay. You're still just trying to be the best you can, but keep your freaking feet up.
Yep.
Oh my God. Like I just,
It's just all like we're trying to stress the basics because
yeah.
like if you ask me, the MSF course, it needs some type of reform because it's, I don't know, it
I think
teaches
the
you the
Harley
very
course is
very
better.
basics.
The Harley course is better than the MSF course because the Harley course is going to force you into potential crashes. Like,
Mm,
they push you into that. So when I took my license test in Missouri, this is 20 years ago. The funny thing is, I'd ridden for years and didn't have a license, and I got pulled over, and this cop in St. Charles was like, "You don't have a motorcycle license," and I was like, "I don't. That's crazy." Like, and the cop's like, you don't. You have like 72 hours or whatever to go pass the test to get out of this ticket. I'm
oh
like, all
man.
right. So I go to the highway patrol, and this very evil woman says, you start at this line, and you basically pull a whole shot from this line to this line,
Yeah.
and then once you hit this line, you have to slam on the brakes. You have to be stopped by this line without dumping your bike. That was the Missouri motorcycle test. And so I had a Roadstar Warrior, dude. If I hit it hard at the first line, shit was getting real. Like, it was a drag bike. So I did it and just barely didn't go down by the last line. Like, I hammered it and then slammed on the brakes and slid to the last stop. It barely stopped. And this trooper goes, "You passed." And I'm like, "That seemed dangerous." And she goes, "Yeah, the guy yesterday broke his leg."
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
ambulance had to come get him. But
Great.
yeah, I mean, it that's how riding was in the Midwest versus Florida and everything else. But
Yeah. Oh, look at this. So I failed to. Oh, here it is. Greg Picar. He became a member. I want to recognize him real quick.
I know, man.
Man, like all these, I need to have you on every week if that's okay.
Let's do it, dude. I'm down to get hammered and talk bikes anytime. There's no there's no I'm down. You know.
Right. Let's see here. What else we got? Toby Northern. What's up, man?
Well, Toby's a friend, so
To
what's he gonna say?
prom, how long will you be in Louisville for the NVP? I see it's only one day.
Oh, no, I'm there that whole weekend. I get there Friday and I go home Sunday. Is that far, bud? Like, let's make this shit happen. So the Louisville show, it's Friday through Sunday. I get there Friday. I'm there with Paul and the gang Friday night. All day I'm doing whatever Paul wants because he's paying for the hotel room. I'm using miles for my ticket because I'm that kind of guy. But yeah, so dude, come over and hang out, man. Toby and I'm gonna make you throw up. That's what's gonna happen. Like, we're gonna drink whiskey and puke.
There you go.
Toby's a good pal, so
Ken Grant says the Harley course, the MSF course with a Harley wrapper.
I don't disagree, but like, my wife did the Harley, and the Harley course involves sliding to a stop sideways before hitting a car. That was like part of the. Then again, maybe that's just our dealer.
That's
But
possible. Because
our
I
dealer,
went through
so-
I went through that course and I didn't have to do that. That would have been cool though.
So our very good friend Coach is the manager of the Harley MSF course in Alligator Alley in Lauderdale, and when the wife did it, they did the whole, like, from this line full throttle to this line, and then all of a sudden they pulled a car out, and you had to slam on the brakes and slide it sideways before hitting the car. That was their test. And when the wife did it, so Coach, the manager, is our very good friend. The wife does it, slides, doesn't drop the bike, which most people drop the bike, and he just goes, "Savage, change your pants and come around." Like she just like
Wow.
slid like sideways into a limousine. It was actually a limousine they used for the pullout thing. But
Oh my god! So what happens when somebody hits it? They just
you
hit it,
fail. If you hit the limousine, you fail.
and you get a free ride in an ambulance.
I guess, because you're gonna break a leg. So
You're gonna break something.
something.
Oh man! All right. Well, the chat's slowing down. I got to eat dinner,
Yeah.
but before we go, why don't you let everybody know where they can find you on the interwebs?
Right on, man. So on the YouTube, it's Professional Monkey. On Instagram, it's pro_monkey_rider. That's sort of an afterthought. And then if you're a member of the channel, tomorrow night at 8 p.m., we're doing a members only live, which is just, I see Tom is here and our closest friends are here. It'll be 20, 30, 40, 50 of our closest, friends who are members of the channel. We'll have a lot to drink. Let's be honest, and have a good old time. And then that'll be it for the holidays. Now, the big deal that we're crazy excited for is on New Year's Eve on just our channel. It's going to be me and the missus plus Chris and Heather, who own Cycle Source Magazine, live on the channel, and we're going to have people like we have recorded messages and some live. So like Xavier, who is a bike builder who was the drummer for Buck Cherry. We're gonna have a recorded message probably from Billy Lane, a recorded message from the Parowitz, a recorded message from our buddy Ricky Rocket, who was the drummer for Poison. Like, it's gonna be an insane New Year's Eve. Starting at 8 p.m. Eastern. It's public. You don't have to be a member or anything of that stuff. So it's just for everyone to have fun. So Joe, I hope you're there if you're not out. But yeah, so 8 p.m. Eastern on New Year's Eve. That's the thing, man. Like, it's going to be a crazy, insane, fun party with legitimate legends from the motorcycle business all night until the wife passes out and then I pass out. So.
Well, make sure you hit end on the stream, or you can just have a 24-hour stream and then you just lay in there sleeping.
But channel members, this Friday, we have a members only live, which will be 40, 50 people, and it'll be truly inappropriate because it's not public. We can say things you can't say on YouTube, and it'll be fun.
All right. Very good. Well, I will definitely try to pop in on that live stream. Sounds like it's going to be awesome. So I'll do my best to pop in there. But
please,
all right,
do.
guys, I want to thank Professional Monkey coming on. It's been great. And if you guys are watching this on the replay, I'll go ahead and put a playlist right here. Check out all the other live streams. And as always, this is Joe Go with Joe Go Motorcycle Adventures. And until next time, ride on.